everyone, my name is Renisha and today I have with me the budding author Lavanya Mithil. Lavanya Mithil wrote the inspirational story called The Courage She Had, and today she'll be reading out some of her story and I'll be taking an interview with her. So let's get started.
Standing on the terrace court street, remembering all the pain and suffering she had been through, and recalling what the cruel fate has done to her, she closed her eyes, and all painful memories came flooding of the day her happy life changed forever.
So, Miss Lavanya, I was wondering, what inspired you to write this story?
Actually, in young, we were given a theme. The theme was courage. So we had to write around it. So that was the inspiration of the story.
Wow, so interesting. So, Miss Lavanya, I was wondering, this story is about courage. How is it important? Because I know in your book you wrote that courage is important in life. How do you think it is important?
Courage is not the absence of fear. The person who is courageous is devoid of fear, but the strength to face it all, that is courage. A person should face it no matter how bad it is. Even with shaking hands, even with shaking hands and legs, the person should walk and look ahead. That's what I think.
Very beautiful. Was this story based on a real life incident?
No, it's imaginary.
So, what type of books would you like to write in the future?
I'd like to write something which has emotional depth and it isn't shallow like the modern authors, and it's basically emotionally bare.
That's true. So, what motivated Priya to succeed in life other than her parents?
I believe her courage is only the thing which pushed her forward when things were rough, and the fact that she didn't give up was the main crux of the story.
Yeah, that is true. So, if Priya's parents are still alive, would they be proud of her success?
Obviously, they'd be so proud of her daughter that she was so strong, that she withstood everything that pushed her down or dragged her down in the darkest of times. She stood up for herself.
Yeah. So, what got you writing into books in the first place?
I don't know. I used to write for fun, and then I write for pleasure. Actually, I don't write for people, but I write for myself. The things which I read and give me comfort, I tend to always write things which inspire me. That is why I write.
Very hardcore. So, did Priya ever want to be a pilot like her father?
I believe she did not want to be a pilot like her father because of her trauma. She lost her father to his job. That is why maybe Priya didn't want to pursue being a pilot in the future.
Okay. So, I was wondering, like after Priya's success and how the story concludes with her writing a book, does she like have any other incidents, any more courageous incidents where even though she was a bit fearful, she still had to be courageous?
The scene I had written in my story, the terrorist one, that is what pushed her to be more courageous, and then it came into her day-to-day life, and then when the orphanage wasn't a very warm place, it was cold, and people around her weren't caring for her, but she still stood up and showed up for herself when nobody was there.
Yeah, very interesting. So now questions from the audience.
What is the main climax of the day she stood up for herself? That is the main key point and the main theme of the story, the place I want to emphasize on, where she lost everything and she was at the rock bottom. Still she stood up for herself and brought her to the surface level.
Okay, I have one more question. So since they have not read your stories, so could you like summarize the story so they can get an idea of how?
Actually, there was a girl, her name was Priya, her father was a pilot. So her father died in a plane crash. So her mother, and they were devastated. Then her mother also died in a car accident. then the story basically revolves around how she stood up for herself, how she made a business for herself, and how she actually made the people who were responsible for her father's crash held accountable for their actions and everything.
So, any more questions? Yes.
How to publish a book?
It's a matter of chance. You just need to keep trying until you write a very good story. And just grab the first opportunity you get.
Any more?
Thank you.
Thank you.